Good evening. The Public Safety Department Recreation Committee is now in session. Item number 1, February 8th, 2023, meeting minutes. I want to give this meeting still. Okay. Item number 2, Public Safety Report.
He just stepped out. I can give you code compliance if you like.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
It'd be pretty short and sweet. In my office, we've been working on several different things. As far as, first of all, good evening to the commission and citizens. We've been working on several different things, rental properties, taking calls, complaints, builders, and also issuing out a bunch of permits. Electrical permits, we had 73 electrical permits, $14,751. Building permits, we only had 10 for $2,418. One vendor permit, which is a seasonal permit, and that's a veteran that came in and got that for their mobile truck use. Dumping, my office hasn't had any phone calls or complaints about dumping, but we are keeping a close watch on some of the dump sites. The demolition list has changed a little bit with some updates to it. Enforcement actions, we haven't had any enforcement actions taken because we've been working on several different things. Business license registration, nothing for the month of February. No rentals, certificate of occupancies, and the code and ordinance are still under review. Some of those are still in the legislative committee. Short and sweet for you, sir. Sit.
I know we did get a report from the attorney at the commission meeting about a case with the illegal dumping. I think he said he had adjourned it because he had to be in federal court, so then he'll be updating us on this. That's what he told us.
Yeah, I'm not aware of that yet.
Okay. We're going next, police and fire. He just did code compliance.
Yeah, no, we sent ours. So if any questions, I entertain them. We got a hard stop at 6, so we have another meeting for event, so I don't want to give it too much time.
Oh, but
Can we get an update on the family? The fire on Britain. There's some people that call me and ask me where to find the family that, I don't know if they're the family of the children or whatever, but they wanted to donate something, they wanted to help out in any way they could. I don't know. I don't have any information.
is you at liberty?
Last I knew, I'm not sure where that, as far as this week, parents were still in the hospital.
Wow.
The other kids, or the other family was staying someplace in River Terrace. So I've not gotten an update since then, but they were still recovering themselves.
And understandably so. Moving forward, Chairman Singleton, can we do something as a city when something like that happens to have put something in place for whatever information? I mean, it just reminds me of the time when that gentleman was taking his wife to the hospital and he hit that big tree out there across from the airport. It was my son that drove that woman out of that car before it exploded and that man died. But you never heard anything. No type of hero award, not that they needed one, but I couldn't even get information as to how this pregnant woman was doing. And it's sad.
You try to get that from Benton Township?
Yeah, I mean, but for Benton Harbor, if we could put something in place, please, for some type of updates for those that want to donate or what have you. Think about that, Chief, what we can do legally, if anything.
Yeah, but there's something I'm working on, so
Okay.
I'll make sure I got maybe present that next
Okay.
month.
Thank
Or
you.
ask the actual team.
Okay.
She
Thank
said
you,
she
sir.
can't hear you when you're talking to Mike.
Jim?
I- So is any, anything else from public safety? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, just, on the comment that, Commissioner Adams was saying, yeah, I was trying to, looking at too. I was told bottom line is really comes down to does the family want to share that information? That's what it basically comes down to. So you can get it, but if you share without their permission,
I mean, but the city being
Yeah.
an avenue,
yeah,
you know, without giving their personal information, but taking something in for them possibly, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, anything else for public safety? I would like to thank and excuse public safety, they have some another meeting to go
We
to.
have 3 more minutes.
Next item on the agenda, number 3, presentation, capital improvement project, update, summary. You up?
Thank you, Commissioner. Madam Clerk, if you can put that up on the screen, please. I do have handouts. They're going to be the same as the slide presentation. I don't think it's gonna, some of my maps are gonna be a little small. I don't know if you guys want one, but it's not a bad.
While he does that, may I ask a question? When were, and by whom exactly, or what committee put these plans together? If in fact there are new improvements to be coming forth.
Which one you talking about? The one he's getting ready to talk about now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'll kind of go
Yeah,
through.
go ahead.
Yep. Wanted to, Jason Marco with Admars, wanted to kind of summarize some of the things that we've been talking about in the past, a few previous committee meetings and commission on kind of an update of some of the funding, some of the projects that have been talked about, and kind of give a summary in map format so that everybody can kind of see some of the improvements citywide on stuff that you guys have all been doing. We are working to try to get something like this on the website so that everybody can take a look at it. There's a few things that we still have to work out. And then I'll kind of talk about the rest of the very end of the slides is some of the work that will be, it's kind of almost a preview of some of the funding that will be discussed in some of those project plan updates that the city's been asked to partake in on those, the SRF funding and the intent to apply stuff that items that we've applied funding for the city. So with that said, if give me the second slide. The goal of this presentation is kind of to summarize kind of the capital improvements projects from 2018. I may have missed some, but I think I did a pretty good job of summarizing most of the big, large capital improvement projects from when it relates to infrastructure. Providing the city mapping of these improvements with the future improvements noted through 2026. Like I said, summarizing the new intent to apply improvements being requested from the city for the water and the sewer SRF funding, and then start to kind of provide commissioners, city staff, more trying to get these out to you guys more regularly so that maybe there's some input that may come out of, as we brainstorm and talk about new projects, from 2024, and on, and even this year. So first map, I wanted to kind of give a little history. In 2018, the city received FDCVT funding and replaced Cherry Street water main. So trying to kind of build the timeline here, and you'll see since 2018, a lot of work's been done. So whenever I talk about a water main project, it's new water main, new hydrants, new valves. Next slide. In 2019, the city still had FDCVT money from 2018, and I believe another one from 2019. Those funding covered Summit Street water main. Territorial Road had a block of water main that was replaced. Smith Court was not done. That's later on, so I apologize there. But McAllister to the south was done. Smith Court was actually done last year, so that should be on 2022. So, but three projects there, Summit, McAllister, and Territorial, were all done in 2019. They were all water main projects that replaced the services at the time only to the right of way. That was the requirements then, and then new valves and new hydrants. The next map is going to be what was done. I wasn't able to merge them on the one, just lack of time. But 2019, that was your first income tax location of street resurfacing. So those streets that were highlighted ended up getting resurfacing in 2019. So quite a bit of the city as part of that first round of resurfacing for as the income tax money came in. Next slide, Tiffany. 2020, there was no major distribute or water improvements, utility improvement projects, but in 2020 there was another second round of street resurfacing projects that resurfaced the southern wards there, south of town there. So those streets were resurfaced in 2020. Then we moved into 2021. Those were where we had the larger bonded projects that included Stevens Street, Territorial, Benson, Highland, and Nolan. Maple and Vineyard was redone. Clay Street was done with another funding source, and that was all done in 2021. And the large project here at Pipestone and Wall was completed in 2021, along with the water tower rehabilitation project. So what we did on these maps, just kind of build from year to year, because you guys are going to get a lot of funding here in the next few years. I left this project since 2018 shown in blue, so we can kind of build each one of these years and see what has been completed and where everything might be going. So 2021 was a big year when those major projects were being undertaken. 2022 projects. So the only two that were highlighted there is the water main improvements that the Pipestone Alley received as part of the lead service contract. And then also the Smith Court water main improvement project was done. And this was just last year. I did not put any color or any hatching or any color, but I put in a box there that 2022 was the big year to change out lead services. So that project was being undertaken citywide for last year. So 2023, what do we have that we're out looking for this year? Pawpaw resurfacing is a project that is receiving federal dollars to do resurfacing, and that extends from Main Street, or not, I'm sorry, not Main Street, but Main Street. I think the hatch should go to Main Street, but it goes all the way north to the railroad tracks or the river. Green and Edwards reconstruction is a water main project that will include storm and sanitary sewer replacement. That is one of the first projects that was listed on the supplemental funding that the city amended as part of the $45 million that the city has received, minus the lead service replacement project. And also Division and Columbus reconstruction. Those are currently under design and going through permitting. So we're wanting to get those out on the street really as soon as possible to lock in contractor schedules, for this year. So we may have more, but right now we have those as definites. We want to definitely move anything up the list if it makes sense. The other things to note, and I think I have the next slide shows that, but we are looking at a street and alley resurfacing project and possibly some cemetery paving improvements as part of the next local street resurfacing project. The city just did award the FDCVT hydrant replacement program for this year. That's going to replace about 10 hydrants. The city did also just award the CDBG sidewalk replacements. So that was just at the last meeting. And then as part of the street and alley resurfacing, we're looking to do the storm catch basin replacement program this year. So there's about 60 or so catch basins that need cleaning, their covers adjusted, and the curb replaced. So that's, some of those are kind of, they don't have a good way to denote those on the map very well, but those are the projects that we're looking at pursuing 2023. For the streets resurfacing package, here's a map of some candidate streets that we're looking at for this next round we do want to try to get the streets out, like I said, as soon as we possibly can, just to get the best pricing, the best opportunity for contractors to come in and do that. So we are still finalizing this list, talking with city staff about the budget that we may want to entertain coming out of the income tax funds. But right now, this is kind of what we had identified. We are still looking at alleys to add to the package, and anything else that we're thinking. The trick here is whether or not maybe a street's in bad enough condition to resurface it now, but as we look at these other larger infrastructure on sewer and water replacements, we won't want to we want to minimize or try not to resurface a street that's maybe projected a couple years out. So that's why these streets are kind of being chosen right now, because these are streets that likely won't have utility work that occurs on them. So kind of moving, what's next? We came and city staff and everybody was updated on that additional money that was approved from the state for that PA 53 supplemental funding. What we don't really have, what we're working on, is really getting an idea of when these are going to be programmed out. The funding needs to be spent by 2026. So city staff and us and everyone else and really needs to look and see if it makes sense to do any projects before, prioritize, and really kind of program those timeframes out. So those include 8th Street water main. That was the section that broke last a year and a half ago, I guess now, the fall of 2021, and ended up having the boil water order that fall. Colfax Avenue reconstruction, McAllister Avenue reconstruction, the South Windsor area reconstruction. There's a couple blocks on Monroe that's been identified as part of that funding. May Street reconstruction, so lots of blocks east and west on May Street. Ogden Avenue reconstruction and Superior Street reconstruction. We don't know if these are all going to be separate projects, or if maybe two of them make sense to combine into one project. So that's stuff we're looking on. The East Britain improvements and Fair Avenue and High Street improvements. I'll go back to that one. I think the last one was the Nowlin, Madison, and Winans improvements. Going back to like a project like Fair Avenue and High Street, we had proposed water main and those blocks as shown on the map, but then we found out MDOT is going to be replacing and reconstructing M139 and Fair Avenue all the way from Territorial all the way south to 94. So there might be a very good opportunity to take that off the city's funding list and have the work be funded through the MDOT project for especially water main, and then that would be another project that we would pick on some of the new ITA funding that is being applied for. So got some options there, but we want to make sure that the city capitalizes on, especially with a large project like the M139 that was scheduled for 2026. So we may not want to do that work now. We might want to coordinate that with the MDOT project. So things like that are being worked out and making it the best scenario for the city, contractors, and everybody. Along with that supplemental funding, I don't have a nice schematic of the water plant, but those improvements have been discussed in the past. So over the next few years, that funding is going to provide chlorine feed improvements, the filter valve replacement, the laboratory replacement, the plate settler, the fluoride feed, the finished water reservoir improvements. There was an infrastructure repair allowance, a replacement of the surface wash, rehab of filters 5 and 8, the low service pump improvements, and the high service overflow. So kind of on that one map is what that funding. So that's 45 million minus the 18 or 19 million that was needed for the lead service contract. Anything that won't be used in the lead service project goes into another project. So that's stuff that we that's always being looked at. We have estimated all these projects. I will say construction costs, depending on the availability and everything else. That once we bid out the project and program it out, we're gonna have to look at the numbers, see if what type of costs they are, and maybe make some adjustments with the state if they come in overfunded or underfunded. So I'm not underfunded, under budget or over budget. So they have provided great flexibility to the city on utilizing those funds. So we want to maximize those as many improvements that it will take, especially with water main. So everything that I went through just now is funding that the city has already secured. Everything there has been secured. This last map really shows in a kind of a graphic format of what the city has also applied for this round of upcoming SRF funding with the IETAs that have been provided. So this is kind of what I was saying as a preview. The FMV is working on putting together the sanitary sewer update plan, which is going to provide updated maps to commission, and there's going to be a public hearing that's associated with that. But they'll kind of talk about some of these projects, maybe some new ones, maybe some different ones after they do the project plan update and study. But these have been listed on previous project plans that the city has adopted and submitted to Eagle. So in the green call outs, those are what I would consider funds that would come from the sewer SRF, the CW SRF, the clean water SRF. And then anything that still is in red are projects that were identified that were estimated as part of the drinking water SRF. So in those, there's some improvements that happen at the North Shore sewer by the railroad tracks. There's a block of territorial sewer that was identified. Some of you may have heard or know of that sewer collapse that happened just north of Territorial on the Ravine Interceptor. So that was identified in the plan. The Colfax sewer, along with what I said for the water project, if we can get the funding for both, we can definitely do the both utilities. Pipestone and Foster sewer, the Bishops and Jennings sewer. And I'm just talking about the sanitary sewer ones right now. The McAllister sewer, the Empire sewer on these just these few blocks that are shown here. The Broadway Avenue sewer and the Britton Avenue sewer. So that is what has been requested as part of the sanitary SRF funding, along with the improvements to the top right. So that was identified as lift station improvements for controls and pumps, kind of update and maintenance of all the lift stations. So that was something that was reviewed by Eagle, by the state of Michigan, when they were in town during that last year's event at the what we call the Ravine Interceptor, Edwards Park area. So along with that, the items, the water projects on the list that we were looking at doing was just an extension of the list that was not able to be funded from that $45 million. So those include Plummer Court water main, the Niles Avenue water main, the Pavone water main loop down there at the south end of town, Klein Avenue water main improvements, and then some improvements at Ohio, Pleasant, and Thayer. And then additional plant improvements were added to that intent to apply. So if the city gets funded for all those projects, it starts to, kind of show, quite a bit of coverage and area that's been redone. These would have new street resurfacing done to them. They might not all have sidewalks done, but all the ADA ramps would be updated. The good thing about the water projects is the cost is less from the service lines. All the services were replaced. They would just have to be reconnected to the newer water main in those locations. New valves and new hydrants on all the water projects. And when we talk about sanitary sewer improvements, those normally involve replacing the sanitary sewer line and the manholes. Some different treatments might be considered, like what we call a cured in place lining, where the existing sewer is left in place and sometimes it can be lined. So some of those projects actually don't replace the street, but we're looking at possibly, we want to replace as many streets as possible if the state is covering the cost per these asks. Like I said, we're working on trying to get a really good interactive map to the city clerk and staff to put on the website, so that you guys have, anybody can view these improvements and really kind of tell the story of, how much work the city has been doing, and we can kind of maybe write up some information on each one of these projects. I don't have the sidewalks on here, but I would probably more than likely have that on the final version on the website that shows, what we did in 2021, 22, and, what we're looking at in 23. So Mr. Little has been getting the CDBG sidewalk or the funds for that in the last couple of years. So, potentially more each year if that program still continues. So that's all.
I see your hand, but I'll get you just shortly there.
Okay.
On the MDOT project.
Yep, the M139 fair.
139,
Yep.
we were there.
Yep.
My question on that, when you were saying maybe MDOT would pick up where we're trying to do our sewers there.
Yep.
Outside of saying, just say we vote on that, is there a reason why they wouldn't? Or should I say we say, okay, they'll do it. With that money we're saving,
Mm-hmm.
does it have to be allocated as a over budget? Maybe can we move it? Like if MDOT says we can automatically move it to another, as long as it has something to do with the same project. So we can't take it and move it to.
That's correct. That's correct. Like the state's provided the city some flexibility on that.
Mhm.
And if you can picture what I said was, the first few pages are funded
Right.
and the last one isn't. So, I mean, it's a really easy, maybe another project is identified through these next couple studies. But if the first 8 pages are funded and the last one, so yes, we would recommend just moving it to another project. Yep.
Okay, you mentioned the catch basins in the.
Yep.
That alleviate there's several known flood spots. Get heavy rain.
So the locations that we picked, we did review what we call the wet weather areas, and this was probably maybe a half a year ago or so. What we found at some of those ones that don't have the structure cover on them are full of debris and just they're full and they don't really work very well. So out of those 60 locations, we would ask the contractor to clean those structures out, and then they would put a new cover on it. Right now, there's really no way for that water to enter the storm sewer in most of those locations. So
With debris and-
yes. So it's a good start for the city. Like the 60, it's not going to be cheap. Because there's a lot of work that needs to be done on it. And this is just to give you a background on those catch basins. Over the years, those different types, different sizes, it's even difficult for the city staff to go and purchase a cover that's going to match that structure cover. So what we're proposing is, they're going to end up, the contractor is going to replace like 5 to 10 feet of the curb, get that all reset, clean that up so that a new casting is placed in that location. So that will improve the drainage at those 60 locations.
And once they cleaned up, it will be recommended to some type of maintenance to keep them. Okay.
Yep, that's also being looked at with city staff.
Then on the sewer side, because we've been getting a lot of complaints in different areas that's prone to sewer backups. I think in Third Ward it was a lot. So on this map that when you talk about some of the sewer projects, is
We're trying, yep, and as part of that project plan update, there's sections in there that requires us to put what type of issues, what type of complaints is in there. So we're going to try to address those with the project plan and the funding that's being requested. If you can kind of picture, a lot of the stuff I had on there was water funded. And then, so now the city needs to provide that project plan update, to request those funds to do sanitary sewer improvements. Yep.
Commissioner Adams.
Yes. You have to forgive me. Every Thursday, I've missed a couple of meetings since they started. I don't get an opportunity to ask Abin Marsh all the questions I need to because other people are on the line. This is long overdue. First off, there was a young lady with John, I forgot her name, that gave a presentation at our meeting Monday night, and she showed us a marking of our streets that needed to be, the infrastructure needed to be
Elaine.
replaced. Okay, are you working closely with them?
Yes.
Okay, so you're aware of the map that she probably showed us?
Yep.
And I guess my question becomes, why are we resurfacing anything until that infrastructure work has been done? I mean, if we have a street with potholes, then of course we want to temporarily cover those potholes, but the infrastructure itself needs to be replaced before we take our money and just pour it down the drain to contractors that have to turn around and come back the following year to replace a street that was replaced a year before, prior to. And not only that, I've been wanting to ask a question. I think that it was one of your other meetings. It may have been Plan Economic Development or legislation. It was a couple of months ago. They're not replacing what they're taking up with this lead line replacement thing. There was a conversation about the alley over here. And it really is disheartening that they're taking up concrete and not replacing it with concrete. And that's another thing, because concrete is longer lasting than asphalt. Why are we not taking our time when we are finishing the infrastructure and the lead lines and everything is done, replacing our streets with something that has a longevity than keeping a contractor employed?
Yeah, I remember answering that a couple times, maybe a time last year, and just at the last time when we did the alley project. I think the question on the alley project was there might have been a confusion, thinking it was existing asphalt, and it was replaced. It was.
I don't think the alley was. I think that was concrete.
It was concrete,
Yeah,
right? Yep.
yeah.
So we clarified that.
I got pictures before and after,
Yeah.
so I won't dispute that.
The actual patching of the of the lead service where they pull down, the 4x4s. It's really hard if we wanted to put a piece of concrete back in an asphalt road. If there's some differential settlement on that, what we would want to do is if you wanted to propose a concrete street to be replaced, we would need to do it from like a couple blocks to block, and that concrete does cost a little bit more than asphalt.
Yeah.
But what we've done in the local streets projects with the income tax money is we're just milling an existing 1.5 inches off an asphalt road.
Okay, but mind you, we're not talking about the income tax dollars. We're talking about the 40 million that came in to redo the lead lines. And up front, the question and the conversation was had that we are going to replace what's taken up, and that has not been happening. There's been a saving somewhere with concrete being as.
We didn't replace any, the streets the patching that we did, the contractor was directed to install with like materials. Some of the roads in the city are overlaid in concrete, so they would have put a concrete layer in, and then they would have paved the top.
Didn't happen.
Well,
Didn't happen. And
What can I ask what
I
happened?
just want to know, I think that it should have been when we were addressing it, as it was happening, it should have been addressed. Because too much money has come in here and we sit back and say nothing. And I don't care who gets angry about it, because it should have been addressed when it was happening. And it came up on so many calls every Thursday morning. And then in these meetings, and yet nobody has said anything, including our pavers. They should have put the pavers down. That was a way for some of the children in the community to learn a skill, something about laying pavers, bricks. Anyway, my next question would be the sidewalks. I've watched the streets when we first started with the income tax dollars, tearing up curbs. Who's replacing the curbs? I mean, we can't just sit back and allow things to just keep being done and say nothing. They're replacing the street but tearing up the curbs at the same time and then leaving it. I mean, it's not them. It's the contractors themselves. Who is overseeing what? Would be my question.
Commissioners.
It's our job to oversee it as well. Because if it's not, I'll stop right now. It's my job to do that. Oh, okay, then I'm gonna go on.
And if you see it, then you need to bring it to.
Okay, and I still got the pictures and stuff, and I'm gonna bring them forward. Because I think we just need to stop sucking on lollipops and letting people just come in and do us any kind of way.
Stick to your subject.
I would like us to just do better at being good stewards of the money that we get. Do we know how much how much SRF dollars we are requesting? Do you know? Okay, when will we know?
I can present that again. I presented the two requests to intend to apply, and then December 6th is what I remember.
And that was December 6th. When was that I was asking and begging and pleading my colleagues to push forth to the city manager and plan economic development to send that letter of intent in so that we would not miss that deadline? Are we privy to setting a price to the government of what we would like to see? Because there's billions of dollars coming down. Who sets the price of what we ask for? Because we got a whole lot of work that needs to be done.
Well, you can't just draw a number out
Well,
of that.
I didn't say draw a number out the hat. I'm not saying who sets it. I mean, is it something we discuss amongst ourselves, or we just allow somebody else to do
I
it?
think it should be something you discuss yourself and
Okay, but when will that happen?
Mr. Chair,
go ahead, Mr. Manager.
everything that's done is done with the team.
What team?
The team of staff, Albert Marsh, with me, or with F&V, whoever is doing work for us. Nobody's coming
Okay,
in and doing work without us.
I can respect that.
And we meet every Tuesday morning, every other Tuesday morning on projects. We've covered over 100 and some projects since I've been here. And we thoroughly vet them.
And I really appreciate that, because my job is to when I find out about projects that we may be eligible for, make sure and hold folks accountable for making sure that we're included,
And when you
which
have
was why I raised so much fuss about that letter of intent for us to even be able to apply
when
for
you
these
have
funds, knowing that they were coming down.
And when you have these questions, I'm sure.
This isn't the first time I've addressed them. It's just the first time that I had an opportunity to have Abby March sitting right here, and I really do appreciate it, Chairman Singleton.
Commissioner
No avail.
Well, last time we had out here, we talked about my ward and the condition that it was in and the condition that it's been in. And I see that, the proposed, has included some of, my ward. And I'm gonna ask Mr. If any of those projects that are anticipated are going to solve my residents' sewage back up in their basement.
We're proposing, that's what we're looking at. So as part of the project plan update, that is the next step in looking at exactly why that's happening down there, so that the funding can be applied for, so that those issues can be addressed.
Now, you and I had this conversation before. Avamarch has been in our community for years, and that has been a study for years. Now, I'm into the fact that
Commissioner,
my,
hold on just quickly. Y'all a little loud back there, we can't hear her.
I'm just asking if this is gonna fix the problem. This, what I'm looking at on, whatever, 2023
Mhm.
and now, the second problem is you don't even have the money yet. You got to ask for the money. So therefore, will this fix the problem that my people are having with sewage backing up in their basement?
So that's being studied. That's our intent. So there's a lot of things that could be impacting those residents.
That's
So that-
what I thought.
So
That's what I thought. So I'm talking to the city manager through the chair. That's not acceptable. I got people asking me now, how do you sue the government? Because of sewage back up in their basement.
Yep.
Now, if we can't get staff to clean those out, and we have a project that's possibly to happen, my people are still sitting there. Senior citizens, homeowners that own their homes
Yeah.
with sewage, not their own sewage, somebody else's sewage. And it's not fair. And I thought that we would have some compassion and put these on the future plan. Because it's not working with the possibility that we get the money. That we get the money and we get the opportunity to do it. It's not acceptable. This has gone on for years, decades. You, Avamarch, know about it. I've seen plans on it.
Yep.
That never worked. I've seen, and right now we got one citizen, she got a grant through whoever they're doing it over there. And they came in and spent a lot of money. 2 months later, sewage in the basement. So something is wrong. It ain't nothing that I can do, but an engineering firm should be able to figure out this. And a compassionate commission should make it now. Because what I see, the city needs most of these projects. I'm talking about need. But I see essential need in my ward and first ward to stop that sewage backup. And here you come telling me you're gonna study. That's not acceptable. Because you've been in this community, not you personally, but your firm has been in this community for years. And you should have a record of everything in the city. We're only 4.5 miles square.
Okay, so I think,
Mr. Chair,
wait a minute, man.
can I try to explain the process?
Yeah, please.
No,
I don't wanna know the process. I
Well,
wanna
well,
solve the
if you-
problem.
If you want
Something
the
ain't
problem
working.
solved, I can tell you how it's done.
Okay,
You yelling at us like we don't know what we're talking about.
I know what I'm talking
We're not
about.
doing anything about it.
I know what I'm talking about.
Why
Now,
not?
Let me
Point on-
let me yell now.
point on what,
yeah,
point on what we gonna have the managers take when he got his turn. Go ahead.
First of all, we have to know what the problem is. So we have to study the
Right.
problem. And to apply for money, we have to get an estimate from the engineer
Jesus help.
of what's gonna take to
Jesus help
apply
us.
for the money.
Yep.
Lord have
Makes
mercy.
sense to me.
It makes sense. But they've been
Yeah, you
here
got-
for 50 years.
Yeah, but that.
What chair?
Probably so.
I wasn't here for 50 years.
I'm talking about Evermont.
No, they don't supposed to be doing work without the city. We're supposed to be working
They got
with the
records
city.
already of this project.
Chair,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, and I wasn't being disrespectful, but you have a new resident that finally decided to come down today. And she was just asking me a question because she's ready to go. And that's why these chairs are mostly empty, because people don't have the patience to be hearing their elected officials fighting and fussing about their stuff.
I agree with you.
But she has some very important issues, like the infrastructure over by her house on Britain that was worked on shortly right there past, in the area of the schools.
But she can come to the.
Please, address your stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Address your stuff, Queen.
Coming down Britain Avenue from Fair.
Go up. Go
Mr.
on up.
You got nothing to make, you got to go.
I can
Y'all
hear this.
excuse me, I don't know nothing about this, first time I ever been here.
Go ahead.
But coming down Britain from Fair to the Cedar McCoy School, a sign should be put up there telling the traffic to slow down because cars come down that street so fast. And that's a school, it's a school there. And they should have a sign there saying slow down or something, you know. And when they did my water line, my water, they knocked that concrete away. They broke the concrete. They said they was gonna come back and fix it, but they didn't.
What address do you have? What's your address?
806 East Britain.
There are many.
The concrete in the street or the concrete in your,
You know, like the tree line.
yeah, next, so the curb,
Yep.
the curb?
They
Okay.
broke that concrete and they said they was gonna come back and they didn't come back and fix it.
Might be on our list. It might be on our list. We a lot of times we haven't been pouring concrete in the winter just based on the weather. So it might be on the list, but we'll check into it.
Okay.
Yep.
But it's important for that sign. Somebody need to put a sign up there for that traffic, to slow that traffic down. Cars be coming through there. Somebody sitting on my front porch, cars be coming like they racing.
Also, with those concerns too, could you, one of the processes, you can dial 927-8400, and you punch number 9, and that'll get you to the city manager's office. And most of the time, a young lady by the name of Rhoda Rice will be answering the telephone, and if you have some concerns that need to be addressed, state the urgencies of it or something, that you have it on the list and get it to the right department. So,
I know it probably wouldn't do no good. But have you ever thought about, everybody got their own house, right? And Spin Harbor is nasty. Have you ever thought about telling people to clean up in the front of their house? Give them,
well,
if you don't pick that paper up in the front of your house, you're gonna get a fine.
probably won't end up down the drain.
Huh?
I said it won't end up down the drain either. So, but there is ordinance on the books for that.
Okay.
You
All right, thank
have to
you.
Step up the enforcement.
All right, thank you.
Can I thank this young lady because she takes a property owner that takes care of her property and she just wants us to do the same.
All right,
Yeah, just very quickly, before we homeowner, before we get, into it and it may go to another, we're about to be building. I just wanna, bring this up because I think that you all should take a look at it. And I've noticed it, for the past 20 years in other communities. New developments, I'm looking at all of these poles up here that they're putting up on the Mercy property in that area. If you look at the new development over here, you don't see all those poles and stuff, all the wires and stuff. It's a part of the new age 21st century development when that comes up.
Commissioner,
I wanna know if Avonmarsh
Yes,
plays a part in that.
And the overhead electric,
There you go.
not, no,
No,
no.
is there something we can do about it? Cause it's really ugly, and if we're trying to do better, we need to be doing better. Just saying.
I would, it's on a new residential development, I&M and AEP, I believe they are required to put those underground for any new housing development.
Oh.
What might be over there on Mercy Hospital, it might be around, it might be the poles from the existing service, the
Okay,
existing
okay.
electrical lines.
Maybe replace
So like
this.
if, let's say, if, I haven't seen the plans on it, but I know if there's a housing development in there, the wiring to those units should be out underground. Now,
Okay.
that's not gonna fix everything on
I
Pipestone.
know, I know.
So yes, absolutely.
Which brings me to my last question, Chairman, Singleton. The residents have been calling me, including a mail carrier, wanna know why is it so dark going down, Empire when they
Alright.
travel?
First of all, let me excuse Mr. Jason so he can take care of his business.
Okay, they wanna know why and whose responsibility is it for, making sure the lights are working?
Those are AEP lights.
Okay, do they check them or do
No,
we just?
what did happen, somebody, each one of those poles got a number on them.
Now, why I gotta stop and get out of my car in the
But no,
rain
I'm
or
just-
whatever
but I'm
to
just-
do what they should be
But-
doing when they always in our
Well,
community?
if you just listen, just let me finish. Okay, so I'm just letting you know that they got numbers on them. So anybody who see it, what I had when I was in the police department was those people that work,
I vote for you.
yeah,
Do your job.
you got to say.
That's what they tell me.
And I vote, yeah, but the police department would, and on the night shift, but we had, no, we didn't have, I don't say we didn't have, many, but
They were.
whoever,
Can-
they roll by, they seen, if they see a light out, they get the,
Can't we just gain a better relationship with AEP for them to do their job?
boy, they got it. Okay, go ahead.
Anytime you see anything that's going wrong, call to my office and we'll get it on the worksheet. We'll get it taken care of. Any
Mr.
lights you
Mitchell.
see, just get the address where it is. Let
Mr.
us
Mitchell.
know.
On the street.
That's real sweet.
Let's do something for ourselves too now.
Jesus.
I'll report if I see a light out, especially one around my house. Like corner of Main Street and
No, I'm just
the
saying,
light out.
they in our community
Yeah.
and they do stuff like
But-
moving streets,
You talking about AB,
AEP
Yeah,
and,
but-
and the gas company too.
but AB ain't here at nighttime to see what's the light out. A lot of times you don't know the light out till it's night.
Until somebody calls.
Or watch somebody go right there.
Okay. All right. I'll go get the phone
Commissioner
now.
Henry.
I just want to ask one other question about the income tax money. 2019, we insisted.
Yep.
And I say we insisted
Insist.
that they took care of the local streets. Now, they did whatever they would do, but a lot of the work is, as we know, asbestos don't last. So a lot of the work is already starting to deteriorate. And we got all of these other issues of the income tax money, the alleys. We're working on the sidewalks but I would like to see that income tax money. Don't let the roads get bad. Take it and fix it. If we're gonna put some more asphalt, I seen us put asphalt this thick on our streets where we didn't even have a curb. So I'd rather see it fixed than to have it tore up again. And the only way we do it is to fix it in time. We can't wait until 2025. It will be just like it was in 2018. So that's the citizens' money, income tax money. That's something they voted on. And they should have everything that they needed yesterday out of that money.
All right,
So, through the chair, it's not anything that I'm just saying you to shine on, wipe it on and wipe it off. I'm saying that this is something that needs to be dealt with. And it's got to come from you, Chair, to ask the manager to make sure that that income tax money is used for the citizens.
that's the only way it can be used.
But it's not being used now.
Yes, it is.
The alleyways are horrible.
It is, but you can't do everything, but it's being used for the citizens, you know?
No, Commissioner, don't talk that smooth peanut butter talk to
I'm telling
me.
you the truth.
This ain't no peanut butter game with you.
Well, I'm telling you the truth.
What did they do in my ward?
That's what the ordinance.
Is the alleys done in my ward?
They do. You talking about streets now first.
I'm saying streets, alleys, whatever, it belongs to the citizens. And I'm asking you,
But
do
you can't,
you know of any alleys that was done in my ward?
Mr. Manager, you know anything was done in third ward?
Yes,
Okay.
What one was it?
not just one. As a matter of fact, we went through your alleys twice last year.
Miss Chair, I ain't gonna call nobody erroneous truth or anything, but I've been in my alleys, and my people call me and talk to me, and they tell me what's going in the alley. So no, that's not satisfying to me to say that you worked on, you sent somebody to work on one or two alleys. That's not acceptable. That's our money. That's the citizens' money. And it should not be just sitting there. It should be used to give us some relief. That's our streets.
But I did
That's
say-
our sidewalks. That's everything that we said when we asked them to vote for it. We asked them to vote for it. And I want to see 2023,
anything else?
the projects make it happen for us.
All right, we're gonna move on to item number 4. Resolution dedicating the city of Benhart Police Department to be renamed to the Andrew L. Rhodes Police Department. Plus you got a resolution or something. Okay.
That's right.
Commissioner, you got anything on that issue? All right. We'll move to the
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next item. Resolution to dedicate the city of Ben Harbor Fire Department and rename to John Phillips Fire Department. It's a resolution that been prepared on that. Commissioner, you got it. Okay, we'll move that to the full commission. Thank you. All right, next item, Park and Recs update. Co-chair.
Thank you, Chair Singleton. Parks update, really during the winter, it's not much that you can do in parks. Some parks, we do have a few volunteers where we're trying to pick up trash and all that. At this point in time of the year, that's about basically all we can do. Try to keep it clean as possible. Our contractors are not back at work yet as far as doing that. So it's basically, we as citizens, whatever we see, if we got the time, you know, we can lend a hand, because that's what it's gonna take. That's the park update as far as cleaning. Other park updates, of course, we already know that the award of funding for Hall Park has been awarded. So that will be coming in fruition as far as seeing that project again, as far as building. What citizens like to say, let me see something. So hopefully they'll be able to see the start of that program, which is also the question that I often get is why you can't do the baseball field? Why you can't do the back of it? And the closest I can come that makes sense even to an engineer, the low part of the creek and the low part of the baseball field. Now, this I know for a fact. If it rains one good time, just once, that baseball field is open for the whole summer. It's open. If we have a good snow winter, and that snow all of a sudden, instead of the sun coming out and slowly evaporating the water, if that sun just comes out and melt that snow like that, that baseball field is done. The park from the first base side up, going toward Highland, that ground is different than the ground below. That ground up, it can rain all day and night. You can go up there in the morning, that ground hard. You can't even tell it rained. But if you go down, you can tell. So in saying that, with the cry out of trying to get the youth back into some activities, programming, whatever, that part of the park can be redone. The other park is gonna have to be done along with the creek. If you fix that baseball field, that's a lot of money, and don't fix the creek, then you're just gonna have the baseball field re-messed up again. To me, without being an engineer, I'd rather fix the creek first, so when it doesn't overflood, then I get the baseball field. So that's been my answer. If you need a better answer, I would suggest you call Rona and make a answer to the city manager. I'm not an engineer, I don't know, but that makes sense to me. Mr. Little,
What you just suggested is the plan, to fix the creek first, as far as those parts that are involved
Talk
with
into your
the
mic, please.
So I said, just what he suggested is what the plan is, and that is to fix the problems of the creek first, and then those low areas in there next. We are rapidly approaching the phase right now where the Army Corps of Engineers is funding a flood study on the creek to try and help us determine how to eliminate or reduce the flooding and flashiness that takes place in there. U of M also have their engineers involved working with the Army Corps on that. So that's exactly what the plan is. As a matter of fact, we're looking to see if there isn't some way we can acquire some property upstream to flatten out and let that water spread out and cleanse itself and slow down the flow through the creek. But we absolutely want to reclaim as much of that park as we can. You'll be going around with the state in terms of their floodway regulations and so forth, but we'll get something like that.
thank you, Mr. Little.
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Mitchell.
also, and more in the present, Earth Day is coming up, and there's going to be an Earth Day cleanup at Hall Park. We worked on the details on that today.
Thank you,
So
Mr. Mitchell.
the dates, what's the date?
April 22nd,
22nd.
from 12 to 3.
The following would be.
It's on a Saturday. Yeah, it's on a Saturday. So yes, it's, and that's one of the things I tell people, as far as I'm concerned, I think it used to be called spring cleaning. We used to do a spring cleanup, the whole city. So I'm thinking they just changed the title, to Earth Day.
There is this real thing called Earth Day.
That's all celebrated all over the.
Yeah, I know that, but I didn't never knew it had to be the same day as Spring City cleanup. I don't pay attention to these
But they clean up there, that Earth Day is just specifically for the park.
greenery.
It's gonna be just for
Oh, but
Yeah.
So in the meantime, I would like to just say to reiterate, until we get to that point, when we have that spare time and you're just walking, you see a can, a plastic bottle, whatever, put it in the garbage. You see your friends walking, eating candy, whatever, hamburger, tell them, don't throw that on the ground, man. And I say, oh man, let them bring it, they getting paid. No, nobody gets paid to go out there and follow around grown people that throw hamburger wrappers down on the ground at 6 o'clock in the evening. Public Works ain't working at that time. So if we see friends, just ask them to help everybody out. Don't throw that wrapper on it. Ball it up until you get to your house or wherever, throw it in the garbage cans. We do have garbage cans, ain't a lot. So we're working on that. Other updates on the park is pretty much what they are. This summer, you can look for some scheduled activities, and those activities will be listed in what parks they are, what time, what dates. So that would be your updates. If anybody would like to engage in anything with the park as far as making sure it's clean, volunteering to help out with whatever, we have events out there, and it might just be a matter of you standing out there to make sure the youth are safe. Sometimes we have kids out there, and our public safety is limited, and we can't be paying for people to watch kids. We know how dangerous it is, so it would help. Ain't got nothing to do. You see kids in the park, just stand there. That's it. Other than that, that's all the park updates.
just to add to you, co-chair, that since I see him in the audience, that I got one of my staff people from 105.3, and what we're doing, some planning to do some things, in the parks to draw the people into, and hopefully, spread that word about this is a community park, and help keep it clean, and figure when you draw people and communicate with them and communicate some of those very same things that you talk about.
Self-cleaning, self-sustainable.
Yeah, and so that's Mr. Tyrone Davis, go by the name of Big Papa. All right.
So parks, so just look out for some of those things. And I also would like to say this, and I like doing this in recognition of people who do work. There is a gentleman who goes out to the river. He cleans up. He's been retired. I keep forgetting his name. I've been trying to get him to come here. He won't come. So I'm just letting you know. If you go out there to the river park, you see the guy, just say thank you. He's an older guy. He's out there picking up whatever. Even in the winter, I've seen this guy out there shoveling just around where the garbage cans be. He's out there almost every day in the summer picking up cans and everything. I've been trying to get him to come here just to give him that bit. He just won't show up. So if you see him, just say thank you. That's it. Also, Richard Ravers is another guy who I would like to give some recognition to. He's one of those citizens who, I'm not going to say he bugs me, but he will let me know if, hey, there's a light out, there's a garbage can turned over. Not only does he tell me this, but if he can, he'll turn that garbage can up himself, clean that garbage can out, send me the picture. Hey, by the way, I just did this, and he's gone. The next thing I know, I hear from him, he done did another one. So just a recognition to Mr. Ravers. That's it. Mr. Raver, you had your hand up.
I just want to say, I don't know what park you were talking about. You said River Park?
Yeah, that's Empire in the river. It's called Yarborough Park.
Oh, yeah, okay, I know
Okay,
it, I know that. Fisherman's Park, I believe it's known as Fisherman's Park.
Correct.
There are 4 trash cans there. They're all full. There's an accumulation of trash around them. People do try to put things in the right place,
Mm-hmm.
but they're full and they can't accept any more material, so.
It's by the Circle Campus, Whirlpool campus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fisherman's Park.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Little.
I would like to also extend thanks to Mr. Rivers. He fixes flags and whatever else that comes of it. He often sends me notes to follow up on, so it's appreciated.
Yes.
And he also calls the city manager's office when he sees lights out.
Yes, yes, he does.
You don't come.
Conscientious citizen.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter what ward he lives in.
Yeah.
I found that out. It doesn't even matter what ward he lives in.
One other thing I forgot to add to recreation that, I see him here too, Mr. Jackson, sorry. Open up to you, Mr. Darrell Jackson is, matter of fact, I'm part of his, board there, with the Ben Harbor Sports Athletic, Sports Club, planning a,
running event. The fastest,
Running,
it's called the fastest male and female on the streets of Barron County.
so we
It'll
need
be
to get
ran
together
down
with that.
Main Street.
We get-
That'll
Because
be
that
summer.
worked, because I did have a talk, and I gotta talk to him again with Barron County about it's similar to a county Olympic, so, yeah, we'll talk.
next item on the agenda,
That's it.
okay, no comment, Mr. Joe.
I got another comment.
Okay,
No, this is your meeting.
yeah, I haven't gotten by, we're gonna go with no, we're gonna go with Joe, and we're gonna go with Davis, okay? We got this.
Do you have those photos? I'm Joe Genola. I own property in Benton Harbor.
And can you speak into the mic?
Sure. Where, this one here?
Oh, I'm sorry.
So you probably speak a little louder, so.
Okay. All right, Joe Genola. I have property on 205 Main Street. And what you see there is similar to what has happened on other properties I have. The handicap accessible or ADA is non-compliant. So what I proposed, and I sent an architectural drawing in to take and raise that, flick over there. Great. That's the entranceway. It's a double entranceway, and on the left-hand side of the door, it's approximately 5 inches. And on the right-hand side of the door, it is 7 inches. The curb is still workable, but there is a storm drain that has been plugged for a number of years. So what I have proposed is to do a 1 in 12 in that area and actually have it tapered so that it meets with ADA. And I'll pick up the dime on it, or I'll take care of the cost. But I'm just looking for permission to make it ADA. And it would be concrete. And I would butt it up to your existing curb that's still there.
That location, that was used to be the.
It was the 6 Degrees property, and they have downsized, and they moved over to 53 Wall Street, and one of the old ICB Bank buildings.
So how this usually work, and the manager could step in at any time, that cause the sidewalk is public.
Yes, right,
thoroughfare. Yeah, you.
right. So I have to have your permission. If it has to be bonded, then I can get the bond or present you with a $10,000.
Yeah.
Whatever your bonding is, I don't know what the bonding
Yeah,
is.
so your first step would be go to the building,
Building department,
Department.
okay.
yeah, okay, and then you could come in there with your plans and things like that.
All right,
And then they will move that, well, I guess tell you what all you need to do.
all right, cool.
Got your drawings, architect, engineers and stuff be involved.
Yep.
then they will come back and make a recommendation to staff, and staff bring it to the.
Okay, right, so all this work with the building department,
Yeah,
then it'll be in your guys' hands and we'll go from there.
yeah.
Correct.
Right, thanks, guys.
Hey, thank you.
And then you did say, if everything went according to plan, that you picking up all the costs, right?
I am picking up the cost, yep.
Thank
I would like the storm drain unplugged though.
Oh, man, that would be sweet.
Yep, all right, thank you.
You're welcome, guys.
Mr. Amos, you,
Just pretty much just listening, see, have you heard anything else about? Last
okay,
time we talked, I haven't heard.
yeah.
I've been, basically, I've been talking with the director of the Narcan program personally.
Mhm.
So we've been doing some things and, talking, she gonna come out and do a presentation at Terrace.
Mhm.
And she planning to do a presentation at my church in South Haven, because I hear that's pretty bad. They really have a lot of problems, with the OD and a lot of them in South Haven, so she asked me, could she have a meeting at my church up there? I told her that's okay. And so she also giving Narcan. Now I am distributing Narcan out to the community, trying to get that in the process of showing people how to use that. So I talked with River Terrace, Jennifer down there. So hopefully we be doing a presentation down there real soon, the director of Narcan. So hopefully everything seems like it's moving.
Yeah.
And my friend also, they got me going to class, they become a recovery coach, so they all that, and a couple of got also, so I got things moving forward. But I was just hearing about your radio station, we wanted to come on the radio station to speak about that, let people know. Because a young lady just OD the other day down at River Terrace. So, you know,
So, the those two groups that I, talked with, nonprofits that, was talking about doing, something similar to. So I can't speak for them, but I can speak, for the, radio station. So now that you have, somebody that's willing to do some presentations, and some communications, we do outreach. So, matter of fact, Mr. Davis is here too, right? So you can get with him, give him your number, and we can set a time so she can do that, whatever presentation she's doing at the church or whatever, she can come and do that same thing on the air. We'll schedule some time, but we like to know, as much in advance as possible so we can get everything set up. So that's no problem there. But that's one of our community outreach things that we do too. So that wouldn't be no cost involved. But we do need to know in a much advanced time as possible. So,
okay, I definitely, I do your advance, that you know.
yeah, but make sure you get with him, get the number, get y'all exchange numbers so we can communicate.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Hey, you can check out, Robert Taylor, Harbor Towers.
I need, which in that.
See if you can do a presentation at Harbor
Yeah,
Towers.
I'm quite sure we will be able to do also that. That's how we'll be basically going around and she wasn't going anywhere it needs to be.
That might also be one of the outreach events that we do to the radio station in parks too. So that's once we we'll bring the we'll do some live stuff, and then we'll just get the people there so we can give them the information that so those could be one of the things that we do too. So so it's something rolling, but you gotta just keep us informed.
So if needed, I do have access to the Narcan if needed to pass out. So like I said, I'm working straight with her, and she's giving me what I need, so I don't have to worry about that right now. So that's all we're taking care of.
All right, thank you.
One more.
Go ahead.
And city manager, assistant city manager wants to say something.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to reemphasize about the protective equipment. It seems as if the coronavirus thing is a little better now, but it's still there, and I understand when people do get it, it's still very severe. If you're a resident of the city of Benton Harbor, you can pick up downstairs here in City Hall, free at no cost, 3 of the N95 masks, which is a medical grade mask, rubber glove, plastic gloves, and hand sanitizer. And we've had very few people taking advantage of that. I think that we really need to think about it and take advantage of it while it's there, because if it flares up again, that stuff will disappear just like that, and people will be running around all over trying to find it. The other thing I want to mention is the Michigan Housing Assistance Program, MEHAW. That's a program that's being sponsored by the state, where any homeowner who's having problems with taxes, even mortgage payments, water bills, trash bills, anything, can apply, and as long as they,
Excuse me, Mr.
Right,
I think
thank you.
it's some information that you probably want to hear.
and as long as they produce their information, their documentation to show that they are low income and that they do, that the bills are verifiable, the state is actually paying those bills for them. We are a partner, many other county is a partner. If you've got past due taxes, your mortgage company, if you're behind on it, may be a partner, and if not, they can join. But once they approve it, they pay these bills for you directly to where it's owed, to the city. If it's, your city water bill, trash bill, sewer bill can be handled, taxes to Berrien County or wherever. So it's something very worthwhile that it's the first time I've ever heard any place, but that's a part of this ARPA and coronavirus funded money that's out there. So maybe a one-time opportunity to take advantage of it, so you should pursue it. And if you know other people that need the help, tell them about it.
So where do we go for that at, though?
You do it online, and the treasurer's office is set up, I believe, on Mondays between 10 and 12. I have to verify that, but I believe it's Mondays 10 to 12. They have a person over at the library to assist people who may need help with getting their information into it and so forth. But you can call in on the phone, and they'll take information and get you started to get set up. And their flyers downstairs, we've got them posted on the board there in front of the clerk's office and my office.
When you get that information, can you please share it too, if you know somebody else that, in similar situations and stuff. So a lot of times that money get away because we don't know.
And we're not just talking peanuts, they're paying up to $25,000.
Yep. Let's not let the wagon go, with the money in it. The wagon go back empty.
I just want to say something, and I know I'm passionate about a lot of things, but I'm glad to hear that information is being shared, and we gotta do something to get it out to the people, because that's some help that we need. But transparency is really important, and if the citizens don't get the information, then just what the Bible says about knowledge and character. So I've been asking a lot of questions, and I'm sorry that the police chief left before I could get an answer, because I've asked this question about from city manager, but this is definitely the committee to ask the question. During the AP, every 2 weeks, I've been noticing travelers' insurance payments, and I asked, what are these for? And they indicate they're false arrest payments. And I say, well, I would like to know what these payments are for. Now, it's not the first time it's come out in this committee But you can sit there and you don't give me the support I need by asking him through the chair to provide that information. Cause I wanna know what's going on. Anytime that you get $1,000 or more, every AP report about illegal work, we need to know. If the body don't need to know, I do. And I'm asking you through the chair, Louise, please ask our staff to provide that information to us.
Mr. Manager, could you provide that to him? Check into what she's talking about.
I will check into it.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, could you ask the city manager to give me a timeline for that, please?
I
Manager,
think you just did, man.
Beg your pardon?
You just did. Ask me to give you a timeline. And I'll look at it tomorrow,
Thank you.
see if I can get it done. And get you an answer tomorrow if I can.
Well, sir, I do believe I have a meeting with you tomorrow, and I'll be asking the same question tomorrow that I asked last month. Thank you.
thank you everybody for coming out, meeting adjourned.
Bye.